Hi, my name is Oscar and I'm a scientist, and today I want to share with you the conversation I had with Aziz. He's a PhD student in civil engineering, and while he was preparing for his PhD, he also put together a successful I-140 petition for an EB2 NIW green card. In this video, we'll cover his timeline, his profile, and his advice to others like you that may be considering an EB2 NIW green card as a way of staying or entering the United States. If you received an approval for an EB2 NIW green card, you can email at oscar@eb2niw.info to let me know, and we can record a video like the one we are releasing today. That way, you will help others in our community, and we will all learn from your success. Aziz, welcome to this channel, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I don't know you at all, like all the people that I'm bringing for these conversations. You reached out to me, but I really know very little about your case. So tell me and tell everyone watching, what do you do?
All right. Well, once again, thank you for having me. So I'm originally from Nigeria. I had my undergraduate degree in civil engineering in Nigeria. And then after that, I worked briefly for, I think, about 2.5 years. And then I thought it was time to seek out advanced opportunities. I especially wanted to further my education, and I looked towards the United States. So that was in 2019. So I moved to the United States in 2019 to pursue a master's degree in civil engineering. After completing my master's, I started a PhD in a different university, also in the US. So I'm currently 2 years into my PhD program. Sometime in 2020, I got to know about EB2 NIW. That was during the pandemic. Typically when people talk about green card, where I'm from, what most people consider are like marriage-based green card. So also most people that like go through the route of education often have to first do maybe like OPT, and then maybe if they're lucky, they get an employer to file H-1B for them, and then they're on that H-1B for like maybe 6 years, or if they get lucky, they get a green card off of that. So, but getting to know about EB2 NIW was a game changer, because getting to understand that I could actually self-petition without any employer. So I just got to know about it. I didn't really know the details, but I just knew that, oh, there's this thing that's possible for you to apply for a green card without an employer. So I completed my master's in 2021. Then I started my PhD, and so I already had that in mind. So when I started my PhD, I knew that I had to start doing things. So I started doing more research on EB2 NIW, and then I got myself well informed about the requirements. I did a self audit on what I had and what I needed to have to position myself well for EB2 NIW, and I started doing that. So
can I interrupt 1 second? So when you say I did some research, what kind of resources did you look out for?
Okay, so for me, the very first point of call was USCIS website. I wanted to get it directly from the Azzez mouth. So USCIS, the way USCIS present their information is in a very clear way, such that you can like read through and understand yourself. So it was very easy for me to follow through from there. And then I started searching about EB2 NIW on YouTube. So I followed a lot of YouTube pages that were on EB2 NIW. And then in 2022, I think around mid to August 2022, that was when I happened to find your page on EB2 NIW, and I subscribed and I turned on my notification, such that after every single update, like I always get a notification, such that there was a time I was telling my wife, because I'm married, I was telling my wife that I think I got a notification on visa bulletin, and I was telling my wife, look, I'm sure Oscar is going to record something on this very soon, because it just happens to react to this like news like very fast. So yeah, so I followed your page and other pages like yours, that were like
Nice.
dishing out this information free of charge. And yeah, so I think that's my backstory. Yeah, so I'm currently a PhD candidate in civil engineering.
Yeah, but I have a few questions. But before I ask you questions, I really like how when I ask what resources you look at, you said USCIS website first, and I always say that too. You
Right.
know, even though I have a website and I have a channel, I always tell people go to the official information first.
Right.
That's the wisest thing to do. And then if you need more help, if you need more analysis, then look somewhere else. That's fine, but always go to the official source. So
Correct.
I'm really happy that you're saying that too.
Yes, I'm a disciple of that school of thought as well.
I also like that you said you started watching my channel in August because that was more or less at the beginning. So
Yeah.
so you are an early viewer. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm very excited when I hear you saying you are still in your PhD program. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's why you were saying, well, most people do family green cards, and those that go the employment base do OPT and H visas. You are jumping over all of that,
Right.
and you are still in school, finishing your PhD, and you're going to have a green card because, of course, if you are here, it means that you got your approval for your I-140, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
first of all, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
You're going to go directly to the permanent residency status after your student status. So tell me a little bit more about civil engineering. Like, what did you tell USCIS in your petition? This is what I'm going to do in the US. This is my endeavor in the US.
All right. So I did have a personal statement of proposed endeavor, which was about 1.5 page long, where
Mm-hmm.
I had a topic on what I intend to do, which is my proposed endeavor itself, and then I elaborated on it in about a page and a half. And so I'm focused in transportation engineering. So what I told you USCIS was that I was going to continue doing the research that I'm currently doing. And what am I
Mm-hmm.
currently doing? So my research is focused on transportation infrastructure. So when you say transportation infrastructure, you talk about bridges, talk about like pavements, the roads that car travel on. You talk about retaining walls and so on and so forth. So my research focuses on developing frameworks that can be used in condition assessment of this infrastructure. So I basically keyed into that. So I was telling USCIS that I'm doing this research that would help transportation agencies in the United States better assess the condition of their infrastructure. And by being able to do that would help them to have like good information about the state of the infrastructure. It could help them in prioritizing maintenance activities on infrastructure. It could also help them in budgeting related activities as well. So I had, it was well detailed. Of course, it was. I had to be technical at the same time. I had to also like convey it in a way that the non-technical person that would review my application would understand. So I mentioned the technologies that I was using, but I tried to break it down to USCIS. But the highlight of it was that I was going to focus on research that would help improve the state of management of the transportation infrastructure in America. And transportation infrastructure in America is directly linked to the economy because you have freight movements, even just movement of people from one place to the other. You have like a safety of the infrastructure. So I keyed into safety, public safety. I keyed into economy. I even, in a way, linked it to national security. So this was what I presented to USCIS as my case, and I guess it was something they found appealing.
Nice.
Lucky to get an approval.
Well, I think it is appealing. I mean, I'm obviously not a technical person in your field. I could follow what you're saying, which is going back to your words, you have to explain it in a technical way, but not so technical that people don't follow. Because
Right.
what I tell people that I interact with, like clients and so on, if I don't understand what you are doing, then the USAS officer most likely will not understand what you're doing also. So
Right.
you're right on that. And definitely what you're telling me, it does sound like something of national importance. So I'm also thinking that right now the US is really pushing a lot these infrastructure plans, because a lot of the infrastructure is in not so good state.
Right.
And they are investing a lot of money on that. President Biden had a build back better plan. So I'm
Yep.
sure some of that stuff you use in your petition, right?
Definitely, definitely. There was the very popular bipartisan infrastructure bill that was
Mhm.
passed in was it 2021? Yeah, I think it was passed in 2021. Um, so which really focused on improving the state of translation infrastructure in America. So like they were investing to the tune of trillions of dollars in America's infrastructure. So I used I used that. I used a couple of other related resources from White House. I used American Society of Civil Engineers publication. So I think every 4 years, American Society of Civil Engineers publish the state of America's infrastructure. So they are able to give it like letter grades. Oh, currently like America's infrastructure is in C. So definitely when you hear C, you know that there's a lot of room for improvement. So
Yeah.
definitely this research like mine would definitely favor America.
Yeah, that's great. So you explain what you wanted to do. You use official sources to back it up, saying, "Okay, this is nationally important."
Right.
And then we're naturally moving into prong number two, which is about you, how
Right.
you are well positioned to do that. So, what kind of evidence did you have there? You didn't finish your PhD, so this is a good learning for everyone watching. Actually, what kind of evidence did you provide there?
Right. So what I did starting out was, for EB2 and for EB2, there is the advanced degree criteria and then there's the exceptional ability criteria. So I believe it is either or. So, but
Hmm.
then what I did was I combined both. So I
Hmm.
tried to prove that obviously I have an advanced degree with my master's, but at the same time I tried to prove that I have exceptional ability in the sciences in my area of research. So I used I think USCIS has a set of criteria for the exceptional ability, membership in professional associations, recognition of achievements and significant contribution to the field. Like I think there are like 7 or 8 of them. I'm not sure. And I
Yeah.
I, I know that I met like so I think you are required to meet 3, but I think I made like 5. So I combined the fact that I met with specific details of what I'm doing, what I've done, and what I'm doing. I
Hmm.
have lots of awards and scholarships.
Hmm.
Um, I've worked on research projects
Yeah.
that are funded
Have
by.
you published anything yet?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
I've published four papers, though they are not
Hmm.
like. So I'm able to debunk a myth that a lot of people have regarding citations and publications. Even though I
Yeah.
had like 4 publications, they are not like highly cited publications. Even though I made a case for why they are not cited yet, because some of them came in 2022.
Yeah,
So
I was going to say, well, you are very young in your career, so
right,
it's easy to explain those
right,
things.
exactly. So understanding that the people at the other end are human, and having that understanding and playing to that helps a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I do have publications, but if those publications are in 2022 and I'm submitting a petition for this in 2022, it's only reasonable that I wouldn't have as much citations. But
Yeah.
I had letters of recommendations.
Mhm.
Um, I had about 8 of them.
Well,
Um,
did you combine independent and subjective?
yes. So three of those people, I think four of those people didn't know me personally, and then four of them knew me personally. So
Okay.
I used my letter of recommendation also to prove the prong two. Most of them spoke about my research. Some of them I sent my CV to them to speak to what I had in my CV, my publications, and all of that. And these were people that are like well positioned in the industry, that have the authority to say it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The more reputable the person is, the better it is for your petition.
Right. So yeah, I combined letters of recommendations, which spoke to my abilities, spoke to the work that I've done in the past, and my potential to continue in this line, in the future, in the years to come. I spoke to the individual research project that I worked on. I wrote about them, so they were like subsections in my petition. And then I added like excerpts from my recommendation letters to those specific areas, and I think a combination of this with my awards and scholarships, my presentations at conferences, and also I made a case about my recommendation letters coming from 4 different countries, which speaks to my, in quotes, international acclaim. It means I'm not a local champion.
No, I like how you're laughing, because I always say, when we are writing these letters and our petitions, we obviously have to write it in a way that is very solid, and we have to talk about ourselves in a very, I don't know, like we are the best in the world. And I think that's why you're laughing right now, because we don't really, most people don't like talking like that about themselves, but we have to. This is a very strong case you have to make, right?
Yes. I also hesitated a little to do that, but then, watching your channel and other channels talk about, you need to use those words. You don't have to be humble about what you've done, so yeah, that helped.
Yeah, this is not the time to be humble. Yes.
Right.
I like the overview you gave. I think it's pretty clear, and I also like how you specified how you use the material. For example, if you have a type of evidence you're working on, let's say you have an award, you can have that award as an exhibit, but then maybe you decide to have a little bit of a letter describing how important that award is, and you put it there in your petition. So those things, of course, if you see a real petition, you know how it's done, and then you can replicate it, and it's just quite easy to do, but it gives your letter another, I don't know, substance, right? It makes it very solid.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your timeline. Maybe you have said it already, but just because everyone loves hearing about timelines, just let's have a little section here. What was your time to prepare, processing time, and of course, what is going to be your next step in the process?
Right. So I'll talk about my timeline in terms of the time I used in preparing the petition and the time it took from submission to approval. So I got serious in September of 2022. I got serious about actually doing this in September. Of course, I was already watching videos, but I really got serious in September 2022. I started reaching out to potential recommenders. I had a list of people that I thought could, help in that regard. Some, were willing, some were not so, but I started in September 2022. And I spent like, the bulk of the time was used in seeking out recommendation letters. And also, like, at the same time, I was watching YouTube videos, getting more informed, like, also, so I took some, like, so for example, my research involves the use of drones, UAV. So I thought it would be good to have like a Federal Aviation Authority drone pilot certification. So I also use that in proving that I'm well positioned, because well positioned in terms of skills and well positioned to actually do what I want to do. Because if I don't have the certification, even if I have the skills, how do I get to carry out research? I submitted my application in November, end of November 2022. So I think that's about 3 months.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I really like that you say that even though you had started working on it, you still look at your profile and found a way to make it even stronger. That's something that I recommend people to do. I think people are hesitant once they start; they just want to get it done. But sometimes it's smart to do something like that. I did the same. I did a review of papers for journals while I was preparing the green card application, because I thought that was something I could add on top of everything else. So that's smart. So you submitted in November, and then when did you get the approval?
So I submitted in November, on November 29, and so USCIS did not receive it until December 2nd. So which, yeah, I know, yeah, just a little off of, that's very painful.
That's exactly when the visa bulletin problem happened, right?
Right. So but yeah, so it took 75 days for USCIS to approve from December to February.
Okay, and now you're waiting for the visa bulletin to advance, right? And then you're going to do adjustment of status.
Yes, that's correct.
And now the $1 million question is, when is the visa bulletin going to advance? But nobody knows, okay? So
Nobody knows.
Because people keep asking that. No, I don't know. Nobody knows. Only the people in USCIS and the Department of State know. For you, I think now it's a minor problem, because you obviously have your status. To you, 1 month, 3 months, or 5 months, it doesn't matter. It's going to advance at some point, and you're going to get it. So so it's a matter of time. Right?
Yeah, I'm just focusing on my PhD now.
Yes, I think you have enough with that. Actually, it's kind of funny, because when I did my petition, I thought, oh man, this is almost like doing a second PhD.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine.
You chose to do it within your PhD. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, is there anything you want to share with our audience? Anything that we didn't cover in this conversation?
Yeah, I think I did specifically emphasize the fact that this was a do-it-yourself case. So which I'm sure that's what you also typically encourage.
Yeah, and that's right. I didn't mention that. I didn't highlight it, that you did not hire a lawyer, right?
No, I didn't. Well, I've always been a do-it-yourself kind of person. So I believed I could do it myself. But at some point I had doubts, because everybody I knew were using lawyers. So I did reach out to lawyers that some were unwilling to take my case, because to them it wasn't strong enough. And then when I did find a lawyer that was willing, it was too expensive. So what I would just like to say to other people that are like on this part is, don't take no for an answer, especially when it's not coming from USCIS. So yeah, I would say, I'm sure if you're on this part, like, for you to be thinking this, I'm sure you've probably done some things that put you in maybe like a good position. Maybe you might need to strengthen your application, but I would just say, don't take no for an answer. It's very possible for you to do it yourself. We are lucky to be in an era where we have lots of free resources. We have YouTube. There are tons of channels like yours that are helpful in this regard, and we don't even have to pay to watch it. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of do it yourself, and I'm a big advocate of telling people to not let all of those myths around. Oh, you need 500 citations, or you need 100 publications to get to it. Like it's all about how you present your case to USCIS.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're saying all those things, because it's good to hear it from others also. So I'm not alone preaching the same things over and over. So your case is fantastic. You didn't have a lawyer. you do research, but you didn't graduate with your PhD. So I think that's one of the reasons lawyers may have said no to you, because for them it's not such an easy case. But you knew that you had it, that you had enough items in the list to get this done. And I think one thing that I would add is you need to put effort and time. I'm sure you know that
Yeah, yeah,
you put a lot of effort on this,
yeah.
right?
It did take a lot of time. I mean, thank you for highlighting that. I a lot of sleepless nights. Um, definitely, if you have to prepare it yourself, you're having to save yourself money. So that would come at the expense of maybe like having to spend a lot of time. So yeah,
Hmm.
like I said, it took me 3 months, and I mean of actively working on it.
Hmm. Yeah,
So almost every single day I would do something on the case, and I had 8 recommendation letters, so that meant I had to draft, every single one of them, except for one that I insisted on writing it by
yeah,
himself. So yeah, that having to write different things in different ways, is really mentally tasking, and having to
yeah,
put together a solid petition as well. So I would also like to point out that while I definitely encourage do it yourself, I did it myself, standing on the shoulders of giants like your page.
hmm,
The USCIS forms are very sensitive, so even in the filling of the forms, I tried to like watch like channels. I didn't just assume that I knew it, just to be careful. So I think
yeah,
that's something I'd like to highlight to us.
yeah. To be careful, yeah, for sure. And when you wrote different documents, did you share them with someone, family, friends? Did you
Yeah,
have a second pair of eyes?
yeah, I did. I shared it with my dad, who happens to be an academic. Uh,
Hmm.
so he did read through it, and he made some corrections. They were cosmetic corrections.
Hmm.
But he also told me it was a solid case. So that gave me the extra confidence. He said, "Oh, this felt like it was a lawyer, right?" So that helped, just to pick out errors, and also helped to give me the extra validation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome, perfect. Well, Aziz, thank you so much. This was really informative, and I think people will get a lot of value out of this conversation. So, congratulations again. I think it's going to be great for you. Now you can kind of forget about this. You only need to maybe do a couple of more things, and you're done, and you can focus on your PhD and everything that comes after, which is a lot of good stuff, I hope.
yeah. I hope. Thank you so much, Oscar.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Aziz is a very well articulated man. You saw how clear his ideas are. You saw how he's a true do-it-yourselfer. He did everything by himself. He didn't use a lawyer. He went out there, sought the official information first, and then any extra information he could find, for example, this YouTube channel, and he went on to craft a very successful petition in a record time. Everything while he was doing his PhD. Truly, I'm amazed by his story. So if you want to be like him, if you are interested in doing this on your own without a lawyer, you can visit my website, eb2niw.info, where you can find a lot of free information. You can even download my I-140 petition so you can see how a successful petition looks like. But I'm especially proud of my EB2 NIW course. This course includes all the downloadable material, for example, my I-140 petition, but I will go through each requirement, through how to fulfill those requirements, how to craft a good cover letter, good recommendation letters, and I will show you examples from my own petition to illustrate those contents. I think this is a well-organized course with a lot of value. It's something that is truly not out there. It doesn't exist anywhere else, so really there's no competition for this. This is a unique product that I hope you will enroll in and get the most value out of it. So I'll see you in that course, but in the meantime, I want to thank you as usual for your support, for sharing this video, for subscribing to my channel, and for commenting down below. Let me know your thoughts, let me know how you like this conversation with Aziz, and if you would like to see other interviews as well in this channel. Thank you so much, and good luck in your EB2 NIW journey.